Hi everyone, it's me, Carly. This is ZooToYou Virtual Safari, and today we are in Primate Panorama down at our Great Apes Habitat featuring a brand new resident to Denver Zoo. We're talking about Gunther, one of 3 new Western lowland gorillas that recently joined us from Zoo Atlanta, now called Denver Zoo home, and we're really excited to talk about Gunther today and talk about the other boys and how they're settling in here at Denver Zoo. So thanks for joining us. Let me know that you're here in the comments and leave your questions for our keepers about Western lowland gorillas or these boys. But I'm really excited to show you Gunther, and thank you to Kim, who's doing some training, keeping Gunther right up here close, and Michelle, who will be answering your questions. Hi, Manny. All right, so this is Michelle. So you all remember Michelle from our Yellowback Diker virtual safari. So now we're talking about Gunther. So tell us about Gunther here.
So you were right, Carly. Gunther is one of the 3 new silverbacks that we have from Zoo Atlanta. This was part of a SSPS Species Survival Plan recommendation to get these 3 boys here. We're really excited to have gorillas again. Gunther is the youngest of the 3 boys at 14. He has his brother Cal, his half-brother Cal, who lives with him also. Cal is 15. And then an mostly unrelated male. He's slightly related to them at 18, and his name is Mbelly.
Mbelly. So only Gunther's in the outside yard today. We're just trying out some new kind of group dynamics, aren't we?
Yeah. With bachelor groups, as you can imagine, getting 3 big boys all together, especially when they're young, there can be some disagreement. So when you manage bachelors, you want to give them lots of choice and lots of control. And so they also need off days. And so today is an off day where Gunther has the entire exhibit yard to himself. He can lounge wherever he wants today. He's been spending a lot of time in the shade by the window. But we just wanted to bring him over to get you guys up close to him and see how exciting it is to have gorillas back at Denver again.
Yeah, it's tough with the shade because Gunther's pretty dark and
yes,
he's in the shade, so it's hard to see some of the features, but Kim is out working, having him present his feet, his hands, his ears. Purpose of that.
So this is part of our Operant conditioning program, our training programs here. Not only is it mentally stimulating for him, it's also a good way for us to look at him, get all of his different body parts examined. For example, if he had a wound, we would be able to have him present that to us. Our veterinary staff could take a look at it. If we needed to clean it, put any ointments on it, we could do those too. When we ask for a shoulder behavior like he's doing right now, that's what we do for a voluntary injection. And a lot of times these guys need the same injections that we do, tetanus, flu, and so we can actually train them to accept those injections voluntarily.
Very cool. So Gunther here is doing really well with this training. He is responding perfectly to Kim's commands, it looks like. What does that say about how he's getting along here with our staff and settling into Denver?
It says a lot. These boys definitely settled in very quickly here. They're incredibly sweet. They are really engaged in all of the keeper staff. They're excited to know new keeper staff. It's good to see them settling in and making this their home. You can definitely tell when they are responding quickly that they are enjoying the training session and that they're feeling comfortable in their new home.
Oh, a little tongue behavior there. So we've got some questions. First from Anne Marie. She goes, is silverback a term for age or of leadership and status within the group?
It's more of an age thing. You can be a silverback and not be the leader of a group. Any male gorilla that grows through sexual maturity will get the silver coloring in their back. And actually there are some females who get that same silvery coloring, not exactly the same, but the silver can be a color that many different gorillas can have too. But when we call a term of a silverback, it just means a mature male gorilla.
Looks like we have a little rabbit in the habitat.
Yeah, we have rabbits and squirrels. They seem to live together pretty cohesively.
So, of course, when we talk about the SSP, a lot of people wonder, does that mean babies? So, Brianne wants to know, are we going to see babies soon for the species survival plan?
Well, having our 3 boys here, we are not going to see babies anytime soon. I know that's a bit disappointing. Much like everybody out there, we love to have babies. It's exciting dynamic. Having bachelor groups is really important for the species in captivity because each of the family groups only has that one male, that dad in the family group. Well, we have a lot of other boys that need a home, and so creating these cohesive groups and giving them a good life is a really important role that I feel privileged to be able to to be participating in.
Yeah, sometimes the SSP really has to zoom out and make a couple moves on the board to do the best thing for a troop like these 3 boys, which is why our 2 troops, Charlie and Curtis, and the family troop of Jim, Tinga, and Whimsy both went to different zoos so that we could make room for this troop. So we definitely miss them, and we love babies too, but just like we have our Toyota Elephant Passage with our all-male elephants, we're playing a similar role here. These boys that don't have SSP breeding recommendations yet, or maybe not ever because of the genetics, but need a place to live. Hi, Karen. Yes, the shade will help my cell phone to not overheat. Terry wonders, did the altitude adjustment bother these boys?
You know, we kept an eye on that. We didn't necessarily see any of the classic signs that maybe a human would experience with altitude. But we did provide them more fluids, which is something that you recommend to a human when they're moving to a place like Denver, especially from Atlanta, which is way down there at sea level.
Yes.
I would say, though, along with our other, they settled in really well, and we didn't see a lot of those symptoms.
Yeah, it varies. I actually came from Savannah, Georgia when I moved out to Denver, and I wasn't bothered by the altitude. So.
It does. These guys are pretty tough, too.
Yeah. So. Let's see. Hi, Keller. This is a western lowland gorilla, so a mountain gorilla. Anna wants to know, what do they like for enrichment? Also, Anna, we have 3 gorillas now.
Oh, okay. So they like... One of the enrichment items they're getting right now is peanuts without the shells. They also like peanuts with the shells, mixed nuts. They got incredible jaw strength, and so a lot of times we'll give them things like almonds or walnuts in that hard shell. Think about how we have to get those open. We have that nutcracker. Maybe you see that at Christmas time. You guys just pop it right in between the teeth and crack that nut right open.
Very interesting. We're sorry, folks, about some of the background noise. We're back open, which means we have awesome guests here, so you're hearing them as well. Hi, Kim. We don't think it's sad that Denver Zoo is becoming a holding facility for males. It's our role and it's our part. We know people love babies, but these boys have a lot to offer with their personalities too.
I will say, on that vein, at the Great Ape House, we have orangutans as well as another species, and our orangutan population is booming right now. Our family group has a 10-year-old and our 2-year-old Chera, and then also our other 2 orangutans, Jaya and Irina, are too young to breed at this point, but I do believe in the next few years we're going to be seeing a lot of baby orangutans.
Oh.
So don't worry, stay tuned. I think it's coming.
Yes. Lydia wants to know, what are gorillas' predators? Do they have any?
I would say the biggest predator for gorillas is unfortunately humans. They compete for habitat with humans in their natural environment in Africa. And then not only the habitat, but they are hunted for pets, the babies. Some people would think that a baby gorilla would make a good pet, or for their meat, or for parts of their body. So
Emily says, how do you tell the gorillas apart?
Oh, that's a good question. It took us a little bit. While they physically look very similar, there are a couple differences. Gunther has, which you're seeing today, has these really long dark arms. He really hasn't moved into the silver of his arms yet. So that's a good clue if you're looking for him. And Belly has really big ears for a gorilla, which we all have fallen in love with his big ears. And then I think personality is something that plays into a lot of it. Once you know their personality, where they're hanging out in the yard, how they're reacting to you, who they're sitting beside, that's how we tell them apart.
Yeah, Hannah's 5 and she wants to know, do gorillas like music and can they dance?
Oh, well, I don't know if they really like music. We definitely provide them music. It's usually keeper choice as to what they're listening to. I've never seen them dance like we do. But sometimes when they're laying inside when it's cool and we have the radio on and they seem to be napping, it seems to me like they're enjoying it.
Do we have an alpha or dominant of the 3 males?
That's a great question. With bachelor groups, that can sometimes change. Definitely when they lived together in Atlanta, Mbelly seemed to be the alpha or the boss of the group. But these 2 others, Gunther and growing up and starting to feel like maybe they want to be the leaders too. So we definitely expect that maybe to change. We're gonna have to stay tuned on that one.
Yeah. And are they at the age of sexual maturity? I know they're teens,
Yes.
but what does that mean for their breeding age and maturity? And they're already silverback, but what else does that mean?
So they are breeding age. They can actually breed much younger than we often recommend them to in captivity. So definitely, early teens is old enough to become a father. And if they were part of a breeding recommendation, I know that when Jim came to Denver, he was right at 18, and that's when he fathered his first baby.
Yeah. Speaking of Jim, get updates on how our family troop's doing and how Charlie and Curtis are doing?
We actually do. Kim, who you saw that was training before, came to us from Jacksonville Zoo, and many of you know that that's where Jim, Tinga, and Whimsy went. I got to go down and meet Kim, and now that Kim is here at Denver, we are getting lots of awesome updates about how they are doing. When she left, they were doing really great, had kind of settled into Jacksonville, and were enjoying the outside species that they have there at the zoo.
Oh, great. I'm so glad to hear that. Dominic says they have 4 gorillas, and their oldest, John 2, is the alpha of the group. John 2 is a popular name. That's the name of Juna's father from Omaha. Carlina says, I miss Charlie and Curtis. We do too. They were such sweet boys.
Yeah.
This is sort of the life cycle and growing up of zoos. I don't always realize just how much it takes to keep a sustainable, healthy population. It takes a lot of sacrifice for our keepers who really fall in love with animals, but it just gives us a chance to fall in love with a new group.
It does. We're all working for Denver Zoo, but we definitely are working for the larger zoo community, and that's this country and other countries. And so, we have to keep a mind and an eye on what's best for the entire population. But you're right, Carly. It's super exciting to have new boys here.
Yes, and talk about some of the personalities of the 3 boys.
So I will say Gunther is the most playful. He can be a little bit shy when he is by himself, but when he is with their 2 brothers, he does take a dominant role often. He has been the one who has instigated some of the say displacing. It just means when a gorilla wants to sit where you're sitting, he wants you to move. Cal is more of a peacemaker, so Cal is usually the go-between. When we've had them all in the yard together, Cal will spend equal time with Mbelly or with Gunther, and I would say Mbelly is the quiet, stoic gorilla. He's the sweetest, and he's the first that did all the pleasure rumbling, which is the happy noise that they make. So I think we all fell in love with Mbelly first.
Oh, so sweet. And Cal, he's actually has a unique story because he's a twin.
Yeah,
right?
That's right. Yeah, not something that often happens in gorillas.
So not the one you're looking at, Gunther, but one of the other new boys, Cal, is actually a twin gorilla. So he's a twin sister?
He has a twin sister.
Very interesting. Normally they're just born as singles.
Normally just singles.
Sue asks, do they get used to a certain keeper quicker than others?
I would say some gorillas do. I definitely think there have been gorillas that maybe they're more used to working with female keepers and not male keepers. And so sometimes I think that that plays into it, getting more familiar. Definitely when you work with them more, you build up that bond. And then I think that changes the way they interact with you too.
Brian wants to know when they got to Denver, and I believe it was late June?
Yes.
Or like mid to late June?
Yes, you're right.
Yeah. So
time flies.
Yes. We had been planning to get these gorillas months and months ago.
Yes.
We missed sort of the window to get them here before winter.
Yes,
which you don't want to move gorillas. And obviously a little thing called coronavirus happened. So this has been a long time in the works, which is why we didn't have gorillas for a while. We always meant to get these guys. Just took a little bit longer than we had planned.
Sometimes it does. When you think about what was 4 zoos that were all together for that. So coordinate 4 different so it might not just be that you have cousins, it could be aunts and uncles and things like that.
Aunts, uncles, second cousins.
Yes, big family.
Extended family.
So he's got that stick today.
Yeah. I think gorillas' feet are so cool. They're like hands. I'm very jealous. I wish I was so dexterous with my feet.
Yes, me
when
too.
I try to pick up things with my toes, it doesn't go as well. My fiance's like, don't pick up the remote with your toes, please.
Just keep practicing.
I gotta keep.
Got taller trees. Not a ton of climbing with them, but some climbing. They've definitely been breaking some branches. When gorillas are all together and they're trying to decide who's going to be the toughest for the day, they like to do big showy displays, and often that is at the expense of our trees. And the big catalpa leaves have been the favorite for breaking a branch and dragging it around. That seems to be the most showy tree that we have here for gorilla demos. So yeah, I think they're really, it's wonderful that we have this big area. So what he's doing right now is he's actually clearing some of the bedding and the grass away from the edge. There's a few Spanish peanuts on that edge. That's why he brought the stick over. Gorillas are tool users.
Wow.
So because he knew he couldn't get his pretty large fingers underneath that last bar there, he's going to grab this stick and he's going to modify it a little bit for you, just to be the exact right way so he can get those 3 incredibly delicious peanuts that are there.
Oh my gosh, you guys, this is so cool.
Yeah. Really fun. It's one of the most fun things I think about working with the great apes and being the tool user. So we can think of lots of different ways to enrich them, putting their food in places where they really have to think about it. This is something that wild gorillas would have to do. Their food doesn't just come on the ground or brought to them by a keeper, and so they have to think about that too. A nice way to kind of translate back to wild behaviors for our zoo life animals.
I'm trying to make sure you all can see this because
yeah, he's trying really hard. Sometimes you should try this at home, guys. It's not as easy as it looks. He's doing the best that he can, but
he's moved them a little further away.
Yes, he has, unfortunately.
But he's gonna figure this out. I think he will.
And sometimes you just kind of fling the stick around and hope there's a keeper nearby who might swoop in and save the day.
I mean, he's got more stick there too, so he's not out of tools yet. But that is so awesome. It's such a great example of enrichment because a lot of people are asking about that, and it's not like some of our put balls or Kongs in there for them to push around. They really need that mental stimulation for enrichment to indicate those behaviors that they would do. So we like to give them challenges. But do we give any sort of fun enrichment?
We like to freeze a lot of our enrichment. So especially with it being hot right now, we've been doing a lot of frozen popsicles. A lot of you might recognize what a Kong is. We use them for our dogs at home to keep them busy. Gorillas love Kongs. We can put a little bit of oatmeal inside there and freeze it up. And then he would have to find a stick just like he did now to get that frozen oatmeal out of the Kong.
Very cool. Hey, Anna, be more specific. Are you wondering where the other 2 gorillas here are or where our other 2 troops went? Oh, I think he's gonna
Maybe
push
he's
that
making
away.
it easier for Kim to get to.
So I hope you all can see this. Oh,
you gotta use your fingernail.
he's working so hard. Oh, way to go, Gunther.
That was a lot of work for a half a peanut.
That really was, but he should feel
it's worth it.
very satisfied.
I would do that for a half a peanut butter cup.
Right
this minute.
Very cool. I hope you all really enjoyed that. That is such a perfect example of how intelligent and thoughtful and meticulous these gorillas can be.
Yeah. Can you see?
So we really love that. And I think that's about it. Oh, here we go.
There's a nice little playful goodbye for everybody.
There it is. He's saying one. Thank you for joining us for our last virtual safari of the week. This is Gunther, one of our new 3 Western lowland gorillas here at Great Apes. Thank you to Michelle for answering your questions. She's so fun, so helpful. Thanks to Kim for doing some awesome training and keeping Gunther so engaged with us. We really appreciate it, and we will see you next week. Bye, everyone.